welcome to session 3. In this session, we will proceed to the second step of the perfect P.E.R.K.S method. Today, we're gonna talk about discovering your declared and your hidden commitments. We're gonna start by looking at what is a commitment. A commitment is a willingness to give your time and your energy to something that you believe in. It is a promise or a firm decision to do something. That's powerful, isn't it? Based on who we are when we create commitments, on our awareness, we can distinguish two types of commitments. Commitments that are created intentionally they do require us to be fully involved in that choice. They require us to be there 100% with our hearts and our language. Whether if we declare this commitment in writing or we speak it out to people around us, or we just think it is still a declared commitment because we are involved with our intention and our awareness. These are the most powerful commitments, and they generate so much action when they are aligned with who we are in here. When we are truly 100% committed to something, there is no stop between us and whatever it is that we are committed to. I'll give you some example, and most of the examples we're going to use today are going to be from our participants, from participants in the webinar. And also, just like I told you in a previous session, I will use my own commitment, the one that generated the breakdown around contribution. So some of the declared commitments that we got from our participants are: I want to be abundant, I will have a successful business, or I am healthy, I am loving, or I am committed to my family and my friends, or I am committed to a happy life. These are great, they're so powerful, and when we stand with our entire being behind the commitments we generate, again, there's absolutely nothing. We are unstoppable. There's nothing between us and our objective. Anyhow, there's a second type of commitments. They are called hidden commitments. They are commitments that we did not know we had. Commitments that we did not participate with our entire awareness at the moment of their creation. The universe grants fulfillment to all our commitments, no matter if they're hidden or declared. The universe will always make our commitments become reality. If we declare it or not, if we keep it in our mind or speak it out, if we put it on paper, or we just hold it dearly into our heart, every single one of our commitments becomes reality. I know this sounds a bit strange, but as we go into this step of the method, you will know exactly what I mean. I'll give you an example. I declare my commitment to my business. I am saying I will create, and I'm in the middle of creating a honest, powerful, successful business. This is my commitment, and I'm fully engaged in it. 100% of my intention and attention is present in this commitment. Can you tell how my actions are going to be aligned with my commitment? Of course. I wake up in the morning early enough to study the market, to study my customers, my clients, to look for new ways to improve my business, to reach the market. All my actions, every single one of my actions are perfectly aligned with the way my business occurs to me as a must, as something that I will dedicate my energy and my time totally and unquestionable. Well, if I stand 100% for my business to be successful, if nothing stops me, no inflation, no circumstances, no defeats, can you see how eventually I will reach it? Yeah, I will, I am. I'll give you an example of one of our participants. His commitment was to run a marathon. No matter what. He stood for running a marathon. Started 6 months ago and got totally engaged in it. Every day, 5 o'clock, he will go running. Every day, he will hydrate. He will have the perfect diet to supply the energy he needs to evolve, to make progress in his commitment. And eventually, after a few tries, after running every day, after training, after sleeping well, and being persistent in his efforts, he did run a marathon. And this example can expand to anything that's out there. What is your commitment? What is your declared commitment? Can you see how it will get fulfilled? Let's take a look at our hidden commitments. And this is getting really powerful here, because most of who we are in the world, besides our declared commitments, are creatures running on our hidden commitments. And I'll give you a few examples. And again, these are from our participants, and they're really awesome examples. They're everywhere. First of all is I am weak and alone. This is a commitment that one of the participants discovered, that inside his heart, his commitment, his promise, his declaration was being weak and alone, and having this declaration for himself and knowing that our actions are always going to be aligned with our commitments. Guess what his actions and results were? Because that's how he discovered this commitment. Remember, it's not the type of commitment you can just pick up and look at it, or you have it written on a paper. No, you have to look at your declarations. You have to look at your actions and your results. So the way he noticed this commitment is looking at himself when he would go to parties, when he would interact with people, when he would go to meetings, especially business meetings. He will notice that he will always go in a corner and he would not interact with anyone unless he was requested to, or unless he would not get any other option. So this guy, the minute he discovered his commitment, started wondering, why would I make a commitment that is destructive to my business, to my personal life, to my fun life? Why would I make a commitment that takes away everything about adventure and connection in my life? Why? I told him, just wait, just hold on. That is part of one of the next steps in this method. Congratulations for discovering that you had a hidden commitment. Another participant had a commitment of, I'm not funny. I'm not funny enough. And he discovered it just by looking at every time he would interact with people. He will see that people every time people around them will be quiet for a minute, like the room will get quiet, or it'll be a bit of a silent moment in the group that he was part of, he will immediately assume responsibility of cheering up the room. And no matter what he would do, he would declare about himself that he's not fun enough. He will hold himself responsible for the fun factor of that room, of that meeting. There's one thing about commitments is we can only be in one of the two positions in regards to our hidden commitments. We can be either aligned with our commitments, or we can be compensating. So let's look at a hidden commitment where we think we're not worth it. We can either be in a place where we know we're not worth it and we're not going to take any actions. We're just going to act like we believe it, even though it doesn't sound that constructive and powerful, but that's what we do most of the times. Or we can be compensating. If I'm not worth it in here, I go in the world and I do what? Yes, I try to achieve being worth it. And that is precisely my case with contribution. When I relate to contribution, to my hidden commitment that I have discovered is that I'm not good for the world. And I was acting from that commitment. I was sometimes being aligned, like, I'll just go away, I'll just go hide in the deepest hole I find. Or I'll be compensating. If I'm not worth it in my heart, I'll always be out there trying to prove that I'm worth it. It's a bit hilarious how we're built as humans to always be subscribed to whatever we have created for ourselves and our commitments. And like I said, the universe is always out there to support us in achieving those commitments without judging them and without making us wrong in any way, because our intention is what creates the actions and the results we have in any moment. So going through this introduction to the second step of the perfect P.E.R.K.S method, we can now go into questions that will help you discover what are your declared commitments or your hidden commitments, and also what is the relationship between them and the breakdown that you started discovering for yourself. And I think this is the perfect time to get that piece of paper from the previous session handy, get it close to you, because we're gonna build up on that today. We're actually gonna discover what is the commitment that generates that breakdown. And again, every time we are acting consistently with a commitment, and we always do, there's a factor that triggers the breakdown that we have, and we will get to that in just a second. So the first question that's going to help us discover our commitments is, what is the commitment that is being stopped from being fulfilled, that is thwarted or blocked every time in such way that this breakdown comes up? And I'll give you some example. Some participants looked at their breakdown of I am lonely. It was a breakdown of one of the guys I talked to, and he looked behind his breakdown and he noticed, my commitment is really to be loved and connected. And every time I'm stopped from being just that, I go in a breakdown called I'm lonely. Isn't that just great? A lady said, I'm always arguing with the family and my friends, and that's the breakdown. And she really looked at what is the commitment that makes this breakdown even be possible. And looking at arguing with people, especially the dear ones, the people that are, close to our hearts, we can notice that, actually she noticed that her commitment was to be in a united, loving family. When we're not committed to things, to a specific situation, if something happens, something occurs in that situation, we wouldn't feel a breakdown. For example, if I'm not committed to a family life, I am, but if I'm declaring I'm not committed to a family life, do you think it will be a breakdown for me if I argue or not, or if I see or not my family? Again, if my commitment would be to be lonely, to be like a loner, an independent guy, disconnected maybe, do you think it will occur to me as being odd, being alone sometimes on the street, in my bed, in different places? No, it's perfectly aligned with my commitment. So the things we have in our breakdowns are only occurring as a breakdown just through the filter of the commitment that's activated in within our hearts. Oh, this was a real good one. I don't have enough money. That was the commitment of another person, and she noticed that the only thing that was triggering this breakdown was the deep commitment of being abundant. If you wouldn't have a commitment to be abundant, there will be no breakdown around money. If I have it or if I don't care. It wouldn't occur to me as being important. But when your commitment is to be abundant, everything that stops you from reaching just that occurs as a breakdown. Can you see how we are built to get our joy when we are fully subscribed to our vision and what we have created for ourselves? It's just pure magic. It is great, isn't it? So take a look for yourself. What is your commitment? What are your commitments? Especially to looking at the breakdown that you picked for yourself. What is your commitment in such a way that every time you're stopped, you run that same breakdown all the time? In my case, my breakdown was I cannot contribute to people. I have discovered that my commitment, and it was a hidden one, was I am not worth it. And remember, I could be in either one of the two. I could either be compensated or I can be in full alignment with my commitment. And at times I go from one way to the other, but my commitment, my hidden commitment seems to always be the same. In step 7 and 8, you will learn how to disappear that commitment that gives you those inner voices. I'm not worth it, I'm not good enough, I'm alone, I'm not happy. Those will just disappear, but for now, just notice them. Just be with whatever you discover and accept that this is who you are at this moment. There's nothing wrong nor good. It's just the way you are in life at this moment. So take some notes, take a look at what your commitment is in such a way that that breakdown occurs, and just write it down. Okay? The next question is, state your commitment in 3 short declarations in such a way that in the first part of the sentence you state what you want in your life, what your commitment is, and make sure this is in relation to the breakdown that you're working on, because we have so many commitments, we can be all over the place. just staying within the context of your existing breakdown, the one that you are really determined to complete, to either make disappear or to become aware of it, of that commitment. So in the first part of the statement, just declare it. Declare what you want to have, declare what you want to be, declare who you want to be, and then add but. And in the second part of the sentence, just state what is the stuff that is blocking you from achieving it. So I'll give you an example. This is my own example, and then we'll go through some of the examples from our participants. I want to contribute, but I have no time. Wow. So in the first part of the sentence, I want to contribute to people. Second part, I have no time. Then one of the participants like, I want to be loved, but I don't deserve it. This is just great. And I'll give you the last one is, I want to lose weight, but I just love cake. Can you see how once we put that but in there, we are pretty much excused from taking any actions to reaching our commitments, and we're gonna go deeper into that pretty soon. For now, just discover the sentences, the magic statements of your commitment and of the circumstances or the factors that are blocking you from reaching it. You know, it could be anything. I'm committed to a happy life, but I'm too busy working. I've seen that. And remember, your breakdown will be showing up in real life only when you get stopped. So probably will be on the other side of the bus. That's where the breakdown stands. I want to be happy, but whatever is there, just take a look. And again, just write 3 sentences. Notice what occurs to you and what comes up the most in your life. And these sentences, you really have them in your life. It's not like you have to create them right now. They're always running. They're like the main factors telling you what stands in between you and your happiness and your success. Just make sure they're related to the breakdown that you're working on. And the third step, what got you to the situation that created the breakdown for you? And this, I know we discussed this on the first step of the method, and it might look like they're a bit similar. Actually, they're not. My question comes more from a place of, notice how your breakdown did not come up for the first time today. My advice is to look into what circumstances caused it the last time when it occurred. What about the previous time? What about just keep going? Just inquire into how often, how many times a day, a week, a month, a year, you go through this breakdown, and notice how the trigger is always pretty much part of the same category of events, of delivered or undelivered communication. Someone said or didn't say to you what you were expecting or what you were just out there to listen for. And sometimes just pretty much the same circumstances hitting you will generate that breakdown to just explode, to be there real in the front of you. So take a look how hidden commitments get formed. We get so used, it's more like a vicious circle. We get so used to our breakdowns that we consider part of our normal life. We go through them once, we go twice, and in the beginning we're a bit surprised about it and a bit tough. But then we get so used to it, and you start declaring about yourself, this is who I am. Every time I see violence, I get triggered, and this is who I am. Well, we're gonna look at that pretty soon, actually, the next steps. So, before we close this session, I will give you a bit of a homework. Just take a look at some of the things in your life where you created things without even being there. I'm talking as far as awareness. And I'll give you a brief example, and funny enough, you will discover so many situations for yourself. Remember a time when you were a kid, and you would go play with other kids, and it just happened to everybody pretty much. When you're a kid and you go out there and you play with your kids, with your friends, and at one moment in time, people just turn your back and don't want to accept you being part of that group. They kind of put you on the side, and they punish you. They don't want to play with you. What do you decide? What do you decide in that kind of moment? What do you make up of it? And I'll give you another example. You know, you're in the classroom. You know, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and you know, but you really know you got the right answer when your teacher is asking you a question. You're like, miss, I gotta say this. And of course, she stands you up, and you say whatever you gotta say, and nope, it was the wrong answer. What do you decide in that kind of moment? That's how the hidden commitments come up in our life. In a moment where something happened, we did make a decision, and we carry it with us in our life over and over again. And if we really look at what we decide in those moments, for example, I will never ever put my hand up again, never. Or you know, okay, you don't want to play with me, that's fine, I'll just make my own team, I'll be on my own, I'll be independent. You notice how these things don't just stay there in that moment. They don't disappear. They leave a major incompletion within us. So that's why they'll get repeated over and over. They created as hidden commitments, and they are being put out there every second of our life. Every second of our life, where we go, we will not take a position. We're not going to raise that hand again. Or we would not go and interact with people. We're going to be, you know, the type of entrepreneurial person that just sits back, analyzes the situation, and creates strategies to have success by himself or by herself, rather than working in a united team with other people. So my advice is to take a look at these type of events and this type of commitments that you have in your life, and just take notes. We are at the stage right now where we just simply take notes, and we enjoy who we are without judging, without making wrong, without even having to change anything. Just let it sink in, is what it is for the moment. Accept it. Thank you for watching today, the 3rd session of the webinar. Next time we will go into step 3, and we're gonna start hitting the nail on the head around what does it take to complete the vicious circles in which we created either declared commitments or hidden commitments that are driving us every second of our life. Enjoy a beautiful day. See you next time.